I'm Edwin Warfield, the publisher of CityBiz, and I'm honored today to interview Greg Gershman, who is the CEO at Ad Hoc. Welcome, Greg.
Thanks, Edwin. Great to be here.
Can you provide an introduction to Ad Hoc? Tell us the number of employees, your key services. Just give us a quick introduction, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Ad Hoc is a software development, digital services consulting firm. We work in the mostly in the government space. We help organizations, mostly federal agencies, design and deliver digital services. Things that they are providing services to constituents, usually the public. Situations where they really want to create an amazing experience that is on par with how people are used to interacting with, the very, best kinds of online services that they're used to in their everyday lives. Our goal is to help government provide that level of service to people as well when they interact with government. The company, we founded it in 2014. We are based in the DC area. We have an office in downtown DC, but we are a 100% virtual company. We have employees in 45 different states around the US. And everyone works primarily from home. We are a remote first organization, and that's a big part of our culture. We have about 600 employees.
And can you explain where the name Ad Hoc came from?
Yeah, so in 2013, many of you may remember HealthCare.gov, that the website launched. And for lack of a better description, it didn't go very well at first. I was very fortunate to be working at the time with folks in the White House and was very privileged to be part of the team that was sent in to help the government and its contractors, vendors get the site back up and running. Those environments, especially when the White House is involved, are always very, very sensitive. Usually when the White House is, coming and looking into government agencies, it's generally not a good thing. And we were very much there to help, really just wanted to make sure that healthcare.gov could be up and running and would be able to play its part in helping so many people sign up for healthcare in that critical first year of the Affordable Care Act that it was online and active. So we wanted to, and we weren't really White House employees. We weren't all of us kind of came from the outside. My business partner, Paul Smith, also, we met on that, as we kind of put that team together, very much like in the movies when, they assembled the team from, all the different parts. And, the guy says, or the person says, I'm retired. And they say, gotta come do this. So we pulled the team together and we wanted to come up with a name to, kind of talk about ourselves. But we also wanted, to convey that, we were not there to replace anyone. This was kind of we were just coming in there to help, and that we were there as, kind of as a support. And so we called ourselves the Ad Hoc team, to convey that sense of, we're here. We were kind of put together to help get this to where it needs to go. And hopefully that helped us, fit in and build trust with the folks that we were working with. So after the healthcare.gov rescue part was over in the beginning of 2014, Paul and I, were really energized by the experience that we had, and we'd learned a lot. And we thought, we asked ourselves, what would we do had the government come to us to build healthcare.gov initially, in the first place? And our answer was that we would have done it very differently than the way it had been done. And so we thought that was, there might be some value in that, in bringing that to the government space, the government technology space. So we put a small team together, made a company, and we thought Ad Hoc was a very appropriate name for that. And so, while the name in some cases may have the at first appearances not convey stability or like permanence or something like that. The way we look at it, as if you look at the definition of the term ad hoc, it means built specifically for the purpose at hand. And I think that's a big part of our philosophy, is that every problem is different. Every government agency or every organization we work with has unique requirements. And we really put a lot of effort into building the right kind of team for that environment. And that's what we think about as like, a lot of what we do is getting to know the customers that we have, getting to understand what their mission is, what are their needs, and then building them a team of technologists that can support them and really help them execute on their mission with technology.
So yeah, a couple of years ago, I read Stephen Brill's book, America's Bitter Pill, which I don't know if you read it, but it chronicled that era of 2013 and 2014 that you obviously lived through. So tell us about your partner, Paul Smith, what's his background and what's his role?
Yeah, Paul and I both have a background in software development. We're software engineers for, a good amount of time before we started the company. When we founded the company, Paul was pretty clear that he wanted to focus on the technology. I said I would handle all the business stuff. And so as time went on, I became our CEO, and Paul is our chief technology officer.
And so your career started with stints at Hopkins Applied Physics Lab and Ether Systems, which was a fascinating journey. I don't know what period you were there, but then you had your period in healthcare. Tell us about some of your highlights in your career. And as I was reading some of your stuff about your history, what were you trying to create? You've worked a lot of it's just different companies and institutions. Tell us the impact of that background on your company today.
Yeah, I kind of like to think of my career as all leading up to the founding of Ad Hoc. I've lived and worked in the Baltimore, D.C. area my entire career. My first job out of college was working at Johns Hopkins University's Applied Physics Lab, where I got to work on some applied R&D for some Navy projects. Not quite really government contracting in the sort of traditional sense, although it was government work. And then it was, this was around I started working in 1999. In the year 2000, I was very excited by all the web, the web companies that were starting up. And so I joined this company, Ether Systems, which was a tech company, a real tech company. And for me, it was a really exciting environment. Unfortunately, that company didn't do very well from a business standpoint. But they did hire really amazing technologists, and I was very young at the time. And I really liked the environment because there were a lot of people there that I could learn from, that mentored me, that helped me grow, challenged me as an engineer. I really learned a tremendous amount and thought like, hey, this is a really great environment for me as an engineer. After about 3 years and multiple rounds of layoffs, it was finally my turn to get laid off. I had 2 little kids at home at the time, so I took the first job I could find, which was I'll elide the names to protect the innocent. But I was working at a large government agency, working for a large government contractor, and it really was not a great experience, honestly. Coming from a tech company, going into government contracting and working for this government contractor, I really didn't feel like this company really valued me as a professional. There was no support, no one who was mentoring me, no one who was helping me grow. I was 25 years old at the time, and I still knew that I had a lot to learn. And I think after a short amount of time, as much as I loved the mission of the government agency that I was working for, I got a pretty keen sense that I was not going to grow into the kind of technologist that I wanted to be working in this environment. And I thought that was a shame because I really thought the mission was great and the opportunity to help people through the way that the government was operating. But it just wasn't. It was not going to be for me, and so I left. And I went and worked mostly in the private sector. I did some consulting. I had a startup or two. Nothing that really went anywhere significant, but I learned a lot, and I got to work with people and with technologies that I could pick and were helped me grow and learn and mature as a technologist. Fast forward, probably about 8 or 9 years after that, I got back into government, first as a contractor, as a consultant on a really cool program. This was about 2010, something called Search.gov at the General Services Administration, GSA. And I was kind of blown away because everything I had seen and kind of formed my opinion about what government contracting was like in that early experience was completely different on this project. We were doing agile software development using like the latest tools at the time, Ruby on Rails, Solar, Git, all the latest tools. I was learning from an engineer who was coming from Silicon Valley and really had a lot of skills and things like that, even as a more experienced software engineer, I just really didn't know. And so I learned a ton. And it was a great environment. I really loved the thing that I was working on, and I was really challenged and engaged and learning a lot. And I really asked myself, I was like, why can't every government contract, government IT project be like this one? If there were, we could get all these exciting engineers who are working in startups and things like that to come work and innovate on how the government serves people. So I was really excited by that. And then around 2012, the Obama administration started a program called the Presidential Innovation Fellowship Program. I applied. I did not think that I would get selected, but I was very fortunate to be selected in the first round of the Presidential Innovation Fellowship Program, where I got to work on a very cool project called My USA, where we got to reimagine how the government interacts with people. A lot of my ideas about how the government could build IT, could build systems, websites, things like that, I was able to kind of inject into that, and it was great. I had a wonderful time. It put me in the path of HealthCare.gov, and also put me in the path of starting Ad Hoc. And one of the big things that I was kind of I think a founding insight for myself in Ad Hoc was taking that experience that I'd had early on in my career, and wanting to build a company that could create an environment that was very much like that technical company, that tech company experience, where there's people there to mentor you, to support you, to challenge you and help you grow. And at the same time, you get to work on really impactful, amazing projects like rebuilding HealthCare.gov, or working on online services for veterans, things like that. And so that I think all of those kind of experiences, early on in my career, I think really contributed to a lot of what I have tried to build at Ad Hoc, and I think this hopefully what makes it such a great place for so many people to work on government and help government serve people through technology.
And it looks like you've come full circle, because one of your clients is the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, and you're back working with healthcare.gov again. So tell us about the relaunch.
Yeah, so after the rescue effort, we started the company. We talked with the folks at CMS and kind of asked them, would you be interested in working with us and not just fixing the stuff that hadn't worked the first time, but rebuilding it so that it's better positioned for the future. One of the things we noticed is, like, even though we were able to get the original site up and running, it still was very, very cumbersome for them to change it and innovate and kind of evolve it over time. And we had some ideas about how we could do that, different technologies, different processes. We were very accustomed to using agile software development. We were very accustomed to doing human-centered design, and talking with people about what are the most important things that they need out of the site. And we also had experience building high traffic, high performance web applications. Both Paul and I came from backgrounds where we had built systems that would process transactions at a very, very high rate. And so all of that kind of led into starting to work with CMS on rebuilding healthcare.gov. The first year we had a team of 4 people. We built a window shopping experience. It was something that wasn't provided by healthcare.gov in the first year. They weren't able to complete it. And so we built a very optimized system that was able to process transactions and queries at a high enough rate that it could actually be the main part of the website. So people could come, the first year of healthcare.gov, everyone had to log in and create an account just to browse the plans. And, if you've ever been to Amazon, right, they don't make you sign up and put your credit card information in just to look for what books you want to buy or other stuff. Now you can buy everything on Amazon. Right, like, you expect to be able to come browse around for what you want to buy. And then when you pick out the one you want. Then you create an account, put all your information in, and sign up, or complete the transaction. So we were able to put that in place in a very short amount of time in the first year. In the second year, our first year of the company, and it was a huge success. The site was the highest traffic part of HealthCare.gov in the second year, so it took a lot of that traffic off of the original system, which still was having some scaling problems, and it provided a really important feature for all the users of healthcare.gov, allowed them to browse for plans before they spent all this time putting all this information in. So it was a big hit. And so we just kind of built from there, and have over the years moved on to kind of take over the public facing part of healthcare.gov, rebuild it in such a way that now every year CMS can incorporate new features very easily, can build off of that, can change rapidly when they want to, and there's no issues of performance or anything like that. Knock on wood, our team has been very successful now for I think this is the 9th open enrollment. So we've been supporting it now for 7 or 8 years, and so far we've had a great track record. So it's been really great collaboration between us and CMS, and I think it's really helped healthcare.gov evolve to where it needs to be. A lot of features have been added over the years.
So given the complexity of government procurement, how do agencies keep up with emerging technology?
Yeah, it's challenging. The way in which government does procurement it makes it such that things we try and make decisions about what we're going to need well in advance of when we actually make those actually have to implement those things. And the pace at which technology moves these days, it's very difficult to let's say put a contract vehicle in place and then say, we're going to depend upon these companies and, the capabilities that they have for the next decade or the next, 10 or 20 years or something like that. Fortunately, there's a small business program, which I think is very helpful in, setting aside work for smaller companies to come in and innovate, bring something new into the marketplace and not have to compete with larger businesses. That is, I think, something that is very beneficial. Ad Hoc is at this point a large business, and so what we're trying to do at this point is figure out, how do we continue to do what we're doing in terms of supporting the government in delivering services, at a bigger scale. Is there a need for that? Is there a need for a company that can do that, at a bigger level, that has some track record and experience under their belt? Obviously, I think that there is. I think one of the main things the government does is serve people, and through technology, online is going to be the way that most people are going to want to have that interaction. And so I think that's I think continues to be a challenge, is like how the government can procure those things and get to the companies that have that expertise without having to go through all of the the sort of hoops and back doors and things like that currently exist because of the procurement regulations and things like that, which good intentions, but I think lead to a lot of the the less than ideal outcomes. Bottom line is, the government should be able to work with the right company for the job, right? And some of the regulations do stand in the way of that. It would be great to see evolution in that regard from a procurement standpoint, so that the government can really work with the best company for the thing that they're working on, and not have to make compromises in that, especially when the delivery of that affects so many people's lives, in such dramatic ways.
So earlier this year, Ad Hoc acquired Cascade Technologies. Can you tell us about Cascade and the impact of that acquisition on Ad Hoc?
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we're growing, our goal, Ad Hoc started out as a company, and we were very fortunate to have, start some great projects in, as we talked about, Centers for Medicare, Medicaid Services, and we've done some very cool things there with HealthCare.gov. Medicare.gov, Blue Button, some other programs there as well. We also very fortunate to have a longstanding relationship with the Department of Veteran Affairs. When we started the company, we helped conceptualize and launch this concept of vets.gov. That we actually were just looking back on it. The slogan or the motto or whatever of it behind it was, veterans had to go to about 1,000 different websites to interact with VA. And our goal was to reduce that down to one and to really build an experience that was designed from, how a veteran would think about an organization serving them, not require them to navigate VA's organizational structure, bureaucratic structure in order to get access to benefits and services. Just here's what we offer veterans. Here's how it makes sense to you, and make it as easy and as simple as possible. So we prototyped that, and now it's up on va.gov and is kind of front and center when veterans visit the VA's website. But our goal as a company was to eventually we want to do this for as many high impact services that as the government provides. And so our goal is to find ways to expand into other agencies and to work on as many of those public-facing services as we can possibly, frankly, as much as anyone will let us do. As a company grows, I think I've learned that sometimes you can do that organically. You can develop a relationship with an agency. Look at the work that they have and find a way to bid on things and win contracts and things like that. But sometimes, it's more efficient to find another company that's doing that kind of work and is doing a great job. And if, everything works out well, then it's a good kind of merger acquisition between the two. And so that was the case with Cascades. They had been around for, I think around 20 years, a founder-led business, and serving financial regulatory agencies, really strong reputation there. And so we thought it was a great fit that would help us expand into new agencies, kind of bring some new capabilities in terms of what they did, augment that with our capabilities and our experience, and be able to bring what we do to some new customers, to a new customer base. So that's part of our goal as we grow into be a larger business is to expand and expand into more and more agencies. And so the Cascades acquisition was strategic in that regard, helping us do that.
Well, hopefully the Security and Exchange Commission is on the radar, because I'd love to get that website, get it at least close to the 21st century, because it's just really, it is such a dated and cumbersome website. So hopefully you can put that institution on the radar.
Absolutely. We'll add it to the list.
So tell us a little bit about the capital journey. It's pretty amazing, from 2014 to this year to be up to 600 employees. Yeah, walk us through the capital journey. And it looks like you've hooked up with our friends at Blue Dollar Capital.
Yeah, absolutely. We've been, the company's been growing very quickly. We won our first contracts in 2016. And grown just continually since then. I think it's a great indication of the fact that, the kinds of skills, the kind of people that want to work at Ad Hoc, there's just a tremendous demand for that in government. And what we've found is that once our customers work with us for a little bit, we work really hard at, again, like understanding what their mission is and, just bringing the best possible technical talent from all over. One of the reasons we are a virtual company is, we really believe that, there's great talent. We don't want to just be limited to, the DC area. There's people all over the country with technical talent that want to work on government things, and they just don't have the opportunity because government isn't as prominent of an industry, outside of the Beltway in a lot of cases. And so, that's been an intentional part of our strategy. Is to bring talent that's really excited by the opportunity to work in government and apply their technical skills in that regard. So as we've grown, we grew very, very quickly, and frankly started the company, and we really thought of it as a tech company and weren't thinking of ourselves as a government contractor. And frankly, like won so much work that by the time, in a very short amount of time, the die was cast, so to speak, and we were going to be a large business in a certain number of years. And it was not. I wish I could say that was the intention, but it was not really part of the plan necessarily. So once we started figuring out all the changes that would entail, we had to make a decision what we wanted to do. And, we really believe in, the model that we have, the culture that we've built, and the results that we've delivered. And we think that there's hopefully more places, that more government agencies that would be interested in working with us. So we were determined to, make that transition from small business to large business, and move into full and open, and compete with the larger companies in the space, which was very exciting to me, because when we started the company, we always thought, like, this is going to bring something different to the market. That was always behind what we were doing. And so now we really saw that it was time, as you lose that small business status and you start to realize, okay, things are actually getting real here. But I view that as an opportunity to really prove out that we do have something of value in this space, in a bigger way. So, Blue Delta Capital Partners is a great organization. They they take minority investments in companies, and then they provide that experience that will help an organization that's making that transition, make it through that process. There's a lot of things that we just didn't have experience in. I've hired, we have a great executive team that has, it's kind of a combination. We've hired some people from technology companies with, technology experience, and other people with government contracting experience. And we kind of view it as like, let's bring the best of those together, and create a really amazing organization. But still, we thought that, Blue Delta's experience would be the right kind of thing to augment what we were looking to do and help us grow into that larger organization. So bringing them on has been really, really transformative. For us, it's given us a wealth of experience that they have, and has really helped us do things that we never would have been able to do before. And they've been a great partner that way. I've appreciated also that their model is very much it's very much like venture capital. They are picking teams that they believe in, that have a model that that they want to kind of add gasoline to the tank, so to speak. And I've really appreciated the support and the help that they've given. But they also for lack of a better term, they believe in the vision that we have, and so they're very supportive of the direction that we want to grow the company. So that's great. They're really great partners.
So let's talk a little bit more about your culture. I'm curious. I usually don't ask a lot of questions on culture, but I'm curious about, was the remote first strategy prior to COVID, or was it the post COVID? And how did you sell that to people? Selling that prior to COVID was probably more of a challenge than post COVID. So tell us about that experience.
Yeah, we have been a remote first virtual company since day one. We actually, when we founded the company, I live right outside DC in Silver Spring, Maryland. My business partner, Paul, was living in Baltimore, but was moving to Chicago. And the first two people that we hired, one lived in Rhode Island and the other lived in Maine. And so, that was, I would say, kind of before it was, a real intentional thing. But we were always that way from the beginning. And, as we kind of grew, that was really just, that was what we wanted to do. I think, part of it had to do with where we were in our lives. We both had, we all had children. And so we appreciated the flexibility that comes with being able to work from home. We really try and provide our team members as much flexibility as possible in, we trust our team members that they're going to get their work done. We don't feel like we need to be looking over their shoulders or, micromanaging them in any way. We look for people who are professional, who are engaged, who are, excited about the work that they do. And so, that to me really solves a whole lot of, the challenges that you would normally think of in terms of managing people. And so, I think we've attracted just a really great team of people who love working on things. One of our core values is, build great teams. So we really emphasize the fact that, it's not just an individual working, but you're part of a team. And so it's all about making sure that the team is able to be successful. If you want to take an afternoon off because you have something to do with your kids, or you've got something personal going on, that's fine. You can make up the time later, or you can, trade off with people in the team. But it's just all about, being communicative, being supportive of people. That's the kind of culture that we're trying to build and provide people that flexibility that we're all adults and we can be trusted to do our work, but also, know when we have to take a step back or we want to do something personal, something like that. So that's been a big part of, what we want to build in terms of our culture and how we relate to our employees. And then, like I said before, we really do believe in that, opportunity is scarce, but talent is, talent is everywhere, but opportunity is not, right? And there's people all over the country that really would love the opportunity to work on something like HealthCare.gov, getting people access to healthcare benefits, giving veterans access to online, to benefits and services. They love it, and it's we hear this from so many folks that it's the most impactful thing, it's the most meaningful work that they've done in their career, and that's what we want to do. We want to open that up to as many people as possible because this stuff needs to work, and we need to get people who care about it and who are excited about the opportunity to work on these things and connect them up with those opportunities. So that's a big part of what we're about.
And so what are the growth plans for Ad Hoc? Are there any other potential acquisitions on the horizon, or is it going to be driven by internal growth?
I think it's a combination. We're investing in all those areas. We're building out teams to develop business at agencies, specifically the agencies that, we've been working with for a long time. Department of Veteran Affairs, Health and Human Services, Centers for Medicare, Medicaid Services. We now have work at Library of Congress, Office of Personnel Management, OPM, GSA. I'm going to blank on some of this. HHS, USDA. We're expanding into Social Security Administration. We're expanding into lots of other agencies. In some ways small, and other ways, more ambitiously, I guess. It's going to be a combination of organic, growth, as well as when we can find the right kinds of acquisition opportunities. I think, we're still very interested in looking at ways that, we can kind of, maybe jumpstart some things by finding an organization that, has great people, has done great work, and, is just, maybe looking for a transition or something like that. So.
Well, Greg, I enjoyed the interview. As I said, I read Stephen Brill's America's Bitter Pill, and really, I remember reading that book because it really chronicled all the challenges of HealthCare.gov and all just the chaos. And I, as a consumer, I remember the challenges of trying to navigate it. So, thank you for preserving that part of America's ambitions. Again, thank you for your time and your stories. Your personal story and your company story is very engaging, and we look forward to hearing about your news and acquisitions and hires in the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Really appreciate you taking the time to have me on, and enjoyed the conversation.